Hello family, so in today's tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make this classic flap. So please ignore the multicolor that you're seeing and just focus more on the tutorial. So I am going to be going through a lot of kind of fabric you could use for this project. So that is Ankara fabric and this is a plain leather that has one side. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and quilt it. This is a jean material, you could use it as well, and this is a two-faced leather, so you could use it as well. So the only difference is that when you're using an Ankara fabric and you're also using a plain fabric and a jean, you are going to use a foam to coat it. But if you're using a two-faced leather, you are just going to coat it without using a foam because Ankara two-faced leather is very thick, so you don't need to coat it. Now, if you are using an Ankara fabric or a jean fabric or a plain leather, after coating it with a foam, you are going to put a Mako so that it will serve as a stabilizer. Then you are going to be using a cardboard paper on the side to serve as a stabilizer as well. Please, I just hope you understand what I am saying. So after saying that, now the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is to start drafting out the pattern. So I went online and I made a research of the actual measurement of the classic flap, and I realized it varies. So now the measurement I'm going to be using is a 9 inches by 5.5 inches, which is the measurement of a medium classic channel flap. So that is what I am going to go ahead and do now. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it on my A4 paper. If you are conversant with my channel, you will know that I love doing a lot of recycling. So this one that I cut first is the back. No, it's the front. Now I'm joining two A4 paper together so that I'll be able to use it to cut the back part that carries the top and the flap. So I'm cutting out the width here, which is 9 inches. I'll connect my lines, then I'll measure 5.5 inches, which is the back body, and I'll measure 1.5 inches, which is for the top, and I'm going to measure 3.5 inches, which is for the flap. I'm using 3.5 inches for the flap because it has an extra thing where the lock stays, and the measurement for that is a 1.5 inches. So the difference between the front and the back and the flap is half inches. So I just hope you understand what I am saying. So please just keep looking so that you will see what I am doing. So after connecting the lines, if you notice the channel bag has a slant curve in front of the bag. So I am just going to fold it into two like this, and then I am going to measure half inches from the middle like this. I'll measure half inches. That's going to serve as a guide. So I'm just going to make my curve like this. I'll just curve it like this to the other way. Then I'll just go ahead and cut it out. So after cutting it out, this is what it looks like, and that is like basically everything about the pattern drafting of this bag. So the next thing I'm just going to go ahead and do is to cut out that tiny piece that is going to be in the middle, that is going to serve as the lock of the bag. So I'm going to be cutting it at 2 inches in width and 1.5 inches in height. So I'll just go ahead and cut it out. And that is like basically everything about the pattern drafting of this bag. So the next thing you're going to go ahead and do is to go ahead and cut it out on your fabric. Either you want to use an Ankara fabric, or you want to use a two-faced leather, or you want to use a plain leather. And after drafting it out, you just go ahead and quilt it. You know, classic flap has double X quilt, so you just go ahead and quilt it using your double X and using 1 inches as a guide. So I've gone ahead and quilted my own, and this is what I have. So the next thing I'm going to be going ahead and do now is to measure the sides. I did not measure the sides on the pattern paper. I didn't just know why, but I just decided to measure the sides on the actual side of the fabric. Now, anything I get, I am just going to go ahead and cut it out. I'm going to be using 3 inches for the width. Like I said, I browsed it and the width was 3 inches. So I'm going to be using 3 inches as the width, and the length should be what you got while measuring your 3 sides. So I'm going to be using this leather as a stabilizer instead of a Marco, because I didn't have a Marco at home. So I decided to use this leather. So the leather is a very strong leather. It's not thick leather. It's a very strong leather. I can't even sew it on my sewing machine because I'm having serious issues. So I decided to use it as the inner part of the bag, and I decided to use the chipboard as for the side as well. So after doing that, so I'm just going to be making the markings on the front side. But before I make the markings, I'll just go ahead and stitch. Please, right side facing each other, and I'll just make my stitches. If you can see, I cut it in excess, so I'll just go ahead and cut off the excess. So after stitching, this is what it looks like. Right side facing each other, please. Then I'm going to make a markings on the front, on the back part, so that I'll be able to make a demarcation on where the top and the flap is going to start, so that when I am stitching, I will not make a mistake. So I'm removing my 5.5 inches now, and I am making my markings. I'm going to go ahead and remove my 1.5 inches, which is for the top, so that I will know that okay, the remaining one is just the flap. So I'll connect the lines as well, and I'm going to now decide how many D-rings I wanted to, no, how many eyelets I wanted to have. So I'm going to go out by 1 inches from the side. Now I realize the classic flap has a 4 D-rings, so I'm just going to, just make circles like this, and that's going to be serving as a guide of where the D-rings is going to be. So you could open the side, you could open the hole right now, or you leave it till later, but don't put your eyelet now. Don't put your eyelet now, till after you finish everything before you put your eyelet, because we are still going to be putting our lining. So after doing that, you just go ahead and sew the side to the side of the bag, and this is what it looks like when you are done stitching. So next thing you're going to go ahead and do now is to turn your bag inside out. It's very, very essential. So you turn your bag inside out. Now, after turning your bag inside out, this is what it looks like. As you can see, our bag is already coming together. Now, if you notice, I did not put lining on this bag. You get why? The reason is because the lining was sewn differently before they now join it together to the bag. So I am going to repeat the same thing I did on this actual bag on the lining. Everything that I did from the beginning to the end, I am going to repeat it on the lining. So after I repeat it on the lining, this is what I have. I did not sew one side completely. I left like 5 or 4 inches, so that it will be a space where I'm going to be turning it inside out. Now, the actual bag is going to be on the right side, while the lining is going to be on the wrong side. So I will now wear the actual bag inside the line. I just hope you understand what I mean. So after wearing it, now this small nose, is a nose now, where the lock is going to be. Oh Jesus, is a nose, right? Well, that small place, where the knock is going to be, I am going to be cutting it out on my quilted fabric, and I'll put it one side facing each other, and I'm going to sew the 3 sides. After sewing the 3 sides, I'm going to use the other side to just turn it inside out like this. I'm going to use my scissors to poke out any inward edges. Then I'm going to put it on the bag. So the place that I did not sew is going to be the one that is going to be like this. Then I'll just put it like this. Then I'm just start sewing. So I'm going to be sewing the bag following the exact shape. So you see the way I'm showing it, I'll sew it round, following the exact shape, so that when I turn it inside out, I'll still have the exact shape. So after stitching, this is what it looks like. So you see our bag is already coming together already. This way you are not using a gum to do your, what's it called, to do your lining. So 95% of the bags that are done in some places are done this way. So I will just go ahead and turn the bag inside out. I'm going to use my scissors to poke in any edges that refuse to come out, like all these expensive corners. So after doing that, I'm just going to go ahead and stitch that opening to just close it. And this is like basically everything about the lining. So we are done with the lining fabric. So my lining no longer lie down. No. So I decided to top stitch. This is optional. I checked the bag. Some were top stitch and some were not. So I decided to follow the ones that were top stitch. So I was arranging it nicely so that when I top stitch, I will not make any mistakes. So you see our bag is like coming together. So I'll top stitch them everywhere, including that small nose. I'll sew it so that when I put my lock, it will not be flying around. So make sure you are putting your lining inside. The reason why I'm top stitching it is because I don't want the lining to be showing when I am carrying the bag. So I'll just go ahead and top stitch. So after stitching, this is what the bags looks like. You see our work here is done. So now the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to start working on the eyelet and also the lock of the bag. So I'll just go ahead and put the eyelet and the lock of the bag. So I didn't have enough eyelet. I just put only two to just show the way it will look like when I am done. And this is just me trying to put the lock. The lock is very, very simple to put. All you need to do is to put, because the first one has cover, then you put it, then you cut out the middle part where the bottom one is going to pass through. So it's very, very simple to just something that even if they didn't teach you go know. So this is just me using my scissors and my knife, and my razor to just cut it all off. Then I'm going to use it as a guide to get the bottom one just like this. And that is like basically everything about the tutorial. You go ahead and put your chain. Mm. And that is like basically everything about this tutorial. Thank you guys for tuning into the channel once again. I hope you learned something from this tutorial. I hope you are going to give me a thumbs up, and I also hope you are going to share my tutorials. Honestly, it is really not easy to make tutorials because things are very expensive now, but I am still trying my best to share videos on the channel. The least you could do for me is to subscribe and to also share my tutorials. Having said that, see you guys in my next one. Bye.